Well, hey there, cowpoke. Thanks for moseying on down to the Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast Live Show. I'll be the head of this rodeo, Randall.
I'm Melanie.
And I'll be your cowpoke, Jesse Kiefer. I used the whole name. I just got too into it.
Do I introduce myself as Randy or Randall on this show? That's the thing. Like, it's this
Randy.
stupid. Okay, hey, it's Randy.
Right.
It threw me off. Trying to do that threw me way off. We were talking about Western vibes, I guess, just before we went live. So, yeah, hey, Grawlix Nights. We don't usually do that, but tonight we did, and that's what makes it special.
The prospect was too prospectorous.
Too prospectorous.
That's right. Let's go.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? We got an exciting show. We're getting excited for a Western or something, maybe it seems like, but also Doctor Who. And I figured since Melanie and I are still behind on Loki, I know the just wrapped up. What a short season. Mm-hmm. So we're going to hold
6? Was that right?
Yeah.
6 episodes? Yeah.
So we're going to hold off on the Loki talk. But I figured this would be a good time to catch up on some news, because there's some notable news stories, like the fact that there's no more striking going on. So they're actually going to start producing content again.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But first, how are you two doing?
Okay.
Yeah, good.
What are you playing, Melanie?
I'm not playing.
Oh. What are you doing? You browsing?
I was looking at email. Sorry.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It's fine. I could just hear the little click.
I've got
Click.
this whole
Sorry.
image of like strong Homestar Runner, strong bad email, but with Melanie, which is like chicka 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 email.
It's okay. You can keep checking your email. It's fine. What's new? You guys done anything super exciting in the last 2 weeks? Oh yeah, we didn't stream last week, did we?
Right.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I figured if Jasper was available, he'd chime in the chat or in our group chat. But assuming Jasper wasn't available, but we could have streamed with Jasper last week. But Jesse was like, "Oh, I'm busy. I can't do the stream." And then I was like, "That's all the reason I need to not stream." And then Jasper's like, "I can do it." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't think we're gonna."
No.
It's all good.
It's over.
I did feel kind of bad because Jasper, whatever, he's got kids to look after and he's got a job, and so I felt bad for passing on the opportunity to do a stream with Jasper, but we'll get him on again.
Yeah.
So yeah, last 2 weeks, anything exciting happen?
Just work. I don't know.
Yeah, I was with you, so you know all my exciting things.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
actually watched a few things, so like I actually have some things that I could talk about this week. I mean, not a whole lot, but a little something.
Well, let's segue right into that then.
Oh,
Wait, let's do it. Yeah. Okay. What have you guys been watching? You've been watching, consuming, reading, listening to anything exciting? I don't know why everything's got to be exciting.
everything's exciting.
Okay, good.
Well, I watched FNAF. I watched Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, right.
On Peacock, and it wasn't. I don't know. I don't think it's got a very good score on IMDb or no. Well, probably not on IMDb either, but like Rotten Tomatoes, I don't think gave it a very good score. I watched it and I thought, it's honestly, was it Willy's Wonderland or whatever? That's the movie you need to watch. That's the one you need to watch. But also, if they threw like production value money at Willy's Wonderland, like mash those things up where it could look a little better when it came to the other stuff, than FNAF. Like that's the one thing FNAF has going for it is like it has a production value. It has a consistency of acting. Whereas with Nick Cage, it was the Nick Cage show on that one.
Right.
So I mean, it was good, and it's clearly gonna have sequels and whatnot. And I don't know, it wasn't as scary as I would have expected. I would have expected more jump scares, since the whole premise of the game is flipping jump scares. I really
Right.
don't feel like there were that many jump scares in this thing, and so it does probably lend itself better to that younger audience, which is crazy that we're gonna have young adult horror movies basically now. But
Right.
yeah,
I have two things I wanted to say. One was I saw an article recently that Lillard,
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, signed on for 2 more movies already.
Yes. Yeah.
So there were, yeah, definitely sequels. And then, did you watch or did you play any? Were you involved with the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff besides,
I tried. Like
Okay.
all my students play it, so I tried it just to be like, just slightly cued into it. So like I understand some of the characters. I know just a smidge of the lore, but not much. And trying to play the game, it was like, yeah, this is not for me. Like, if
Yeah.
I mess up, I get a jump scare. That's basically what happens. It's like
Yeah.
you have to. I should be into it because kind of like pattern recognition kind of stuff. Like Pac-Man is pattern recognition, and that's the kind of game I tend to play. But this is, I don't know, like you got to watch all the cameras and you got to do certain things so that
Right.
the animatronics don't get you. Yeah, I wasn't good at it. Is long story short.
Right. Well, I had watched it in the theater with a bunch of people who are that age, and they kept freaking out over and over
yeah.
about little things, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. So I was wondering if somebody who actually had done or played and knew a little bit more, if it was more exciting for them, because to me, I was like, oh, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but
Yeah, there was apparently a lot of Easter egg things that I didn't totally catch.
yeah.
Like they were like, "Is that the cut of 1,000?" I was like, "Oh, that's the thing." I don't even know what that means, but yeah, I heard that for the people who play the games and really are into the lore, it was just like a fan fest. Like there was plenty of fan service in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I liked it because it had Juice in it, and he's great.
Juice. Yeah, the lead guy was in that Future Man. Wasn't that the name of it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a Hulu series that Melanie and I watched. And it's great. I don't know that it's, I feel like it's one of the shows Hulu like sold off or something. But we probably talked about it on the show. It's
Yeah,
like
I vaguely remember it. Yeah.
it's a sci-fi comedy that's partially super basic in its humor, but also at the same time way better than it should be. Like it was a really good show. But his character, Joosh, Juice, and that's the lead in
That's the lead. The super serious guy in this movie was named Juice.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
but partially, yeah.
Oh, his actual name is Josh too, I think. But
It was a time travel thing, so he kept going back and changing stuff and ended up becoming Juice by the end of the show. But
right. This is a really good show. That's worth a rewatch. I feel like I could rewatch Future Man at some point. I'll have to see where that's at. If it's on Hulu or if it got sold off to one of the freebie services or if it's just in limbo.
yeah.
Well, what have we can alternate. I'm assuming you guys might have more stuff. But yeah, Melanie and you both actually watched Five Nights at Freddy's. I didn't see it.
Like on Letterboxd, I gave it 3, and I don't know if I would have normally given it 3, but like, it was interesting enough that I would be interested in seeing the sequels. Like if they were like on Peacock or something. I don't know that I'm going to the theater or anything, but I was just like, oh, it was interesting. They gave it enough kind of backstory to hold my attention at the very least.
I kind of felt at the end, I kind of felt like kind of like the Ring moment, like, why did you help her? She doesn't sleep, kind of a thing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Well, let me see. Since we're talking about horror movies, I think I just have these two movies to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about them very much. I watched, have we not done a stream since then? A couple of movies, and I'm not going to talk much about them because I just spent an hour and 45 minutes talking about them with Moose. So I'm not sure when the episode's coming out, but it'll be his episode 94. He's creeping up on 100.
Oh man.
Of Moose's Monster Mash.
Wait, what number is that? That number doesn't exist, does it?
No,
That doesn't even sound like a real number, Randy. You just made that up.
I keep people here throwing the term around, but I don't quite understand what it means.
Yeah, that's weird.
But we watched for his show, we watched the original Children of the Corn and the recent remake, reboot, prequel, readaptation of it. Basically the third Children of the Corn remake, whatever you want to call it. At first, I watched these and I'm like, is Paul just like, is he baiting me? Like, is he just trying to like, is he like, this'll make Randy salty? But after talking to him, one, I don't think he expected them to be bad, and I don't think he thought they were bad.
Right.
They are.
All three of them are?
Well, we only watched the
yeah.
first and the most recent. I've never seen. There's like a 2009 version as well. But his reasoning was for asking me. I was like, so why did you ask me specifically for these movies? And the reasoning is because we had done an episode of his show. It was like way back in like the single digit episodes, I think. Like 4 years ago, he's been doing Moose's Monster Mash for like 4 years, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Coming up on 5, I think. I don't know what happened the last couple of years. But he had me on, and we did Night of the Living. We did like a remake special episode. It was like Night of the Living Dead, the original, and the '90s remake, and then I think Dawn of the Dead, the original, and the Zack Snyder remake. Mm-hmm. Like we had done that. So the idea was like to have me on to revisit the like original and remake concept.
Sure.
I was like, okay, I get it, because the 1984 Children of the Corn, a lot of people have seen that. And it's interesting because I think people like it.
It's
but
got
also
a nostalgia thing, I think.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think people...
It's got a specific vibe. And that's like going home. You know?
Yes, yes.
It's like, I do remember the vibe of that movie, and there's just like something about it that I enjoy, but also...
It's not good.
Yeah.
I think it's creepy choir kids. I think that's the nostalgia. It's like,
oh, I didn't even mention that on the... No, yeah. I didn't even mention that on Moose's show. That actually might be the highlight of that whole movie.
It is.
Because I don't know that I would care about any kind of a remake, but I probably would still watch that stupid old movie because it's one of the older horror movies that I've probably rewatched more than once. And I watched all those stupid sequels growing up, and like they were bad. They were all bad.
So I was trying to figure out, because there was some confusion. The most recent one was technically, I think, initially released in 2020, but then actually got a proper release in 2023. Because I think, the pandemic happened, but then also I think it just got shelved, and then they were like, all right, let's put this out.
Like, COVID happened. We can't talk about corn.
Right.
Or killing children.
So there was some confusion on the date, so I did some research, and while doing research to make sure I was watching the right movie, I come across several articles that were like, this franchise is like 13 movies deep and they haven't got it right once. How does it keep going? There's a lot of articles like that. And I was like, okay.
I agree.
And it's a
So-
Stephen King thing, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
a book, or is it
It's
a book?
It's a short.
It's a short story.
It's a short
Yeah.
story. Okay, I'm curious because I've never even thought to seek that one out.
In my opinion, his short stories are way better than his books, mostly
Yeah.
because they don't end. For the most part, they're left pretty
Right.
ambiguous. But
He's
yeah,
awful.
and
at
Children
endings.
of the Corn is one of the good
He's
ones.
never been good at endings. I
No, he's
don't
not.
think. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever that episode comes out, viewers, future listeners and future viewers, you should check it out. I try to talk a lot about like how these movies could be better. Like there's a good movie in that short story. They just don't make it, you know?
You mean they haven't made a good movie about Amish children feeding people to like a Cthulhu corn god?
Well, it's not even. Well, no, I guess they do more of that in the newer one. The first one, they don't even send that many people into the corn. So I gave the first one, the original, 1.5 stars, and I gave the newer one, the 2020/2023 one, 1 star.
Wow.
So even lower.
Man.
Melanie watched it with me. I hated it. The script was so stupid. It was so dumb.
I didn't like it, but I will say it kind of had a better idea of where a movie like this should go, at least in the beginning, and then after that, then it went to crap. But the the tension in the town and the kids getting fed up with the adults screwing them over again and again and again, that was good. And then like the build up of the, like, you could tell they were getting like evil, I guess, I don't know. That was good. But then where they went with it at the end, all of that was crap.
It's interesting because the new one isn't even. It's not a remake, and it's not even a readaptation of the original short story. It's a prequel to the story in a way. Like it treats it. It's more focused on leading up to than like what the original story is. Of
Why
like,
would
Isn't
you
it-
want that?
Well-
Like the whole thing is that it's a creepy kid town.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I liked it. I like that idea, like how it became a creepy kid town. I like that whole idea. But you're right. In the short story, it was just some people show up to this town that's already, fallen into disrepair, and it was run by evil children. And that's creepy too. But then you have to do the whole like exposition crap where they got to find a book or something and then find out all this, and I don't necessarily like that as much in especially movie format. But,
I think my thing was like there's some like good ideas in the newer one, and it does some things right, and it had a budget. I think. I mean, this is a very small budget for most movies now, but it had a budget of like 10 million, and it looks pretty decent. I feel like the original is just like wasted potential, sure, but also just kind of dull. That poor execution. I love the look of it though. It is straight up small Midwestern towns.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know that the new one captured that. They shot it in Australia, but that doesn't. I mean, they have corn over there, so that's fine. but
But is it real corn?
right. I don't know. It's heavily
That
color
would be
graded.
amazing. 'Cause maybe-
Right.
yeah.
We're at the end of the show already, Melanie. That's the science.
Yeah, man, I should have saved it. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, I don't need to go on about it, but I feel like more than anything, the new one gets rated lower because the script is dumber somehow. It's just so bad, but also like it's the Brightburn thing of like there was potential here and it was squandered harder than Brightburn squandered potential. It was squandered hard. It just like I don't know, man.
It seems like an easy premise to figure out. I mean, like, well, maybe not. Lord of the Flies is not something you can really make a movie about. Well, is it? Have they
Lord of
really
the
ever
Flies?
nailed that?
I do feel like so where the new one does right, I think in my mind, the best adaptation of a Children of the Corn is we don't follow the kids that much. if you want to like, for me, if you want to like put the viewer in the characters and then put the characters in a scary situation over like explaining or exploring the kids' society is not that scary in my mind. But I do feel like the new one handles that a bit better in keeping like the kids that are a real threat a threat and keeping them kind of mysterious, but at the same time doing a kind of Lord of the Flies exploration of like them, I don't know, what's the word? Whatever,
Evolving.
just like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Never mind. Let's just go. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I gave these horrible ratings, but I've talked to Paul for an hour and 45 minutes about it, and I could probably go for another hour on the show, but we don't want to do that. Jesse, what else you watch? You watch anything else?
Yeah, basically Netflix shows.
Okay.
So, and I didn't get very far into them or anything, but like, there's a wrestlers show that is like a documentary, and it's following OVW, which is Ohio Valley Wrestling, I believe, and it used to be kind of a developmental or like wrestlers would go there, get good, and then WWE would discover them and take them on, kind of thing. Like they're well known as kind of like a staging ground for future WWE's superstars or whatever, or WWF at least until WWE started doing it themselves. Well, Al Snow is a pretty well-known wrestler, and he's in charge of it now, of OVW, and so they follow this like this struggling wrestling program that's pretty independent, but also has its own television show. And Al Snow used to be one of the trainers on their reality show, Tough Enough. And so Holly and I used to watch that. Like, we enjoyed it almost more than actual wrestling, because it was like, it's Al Snow being Al Snow instead of the character that he plays as a wrestler, And so this follows kind of him again. And it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. And watching these like wrestlers that have day jobs, just try to break into the business kind of stuff. And I watched about an episode of that, and it was pretty good. And then tonight I cracked into The Crown, because the final season of The Crown is starting in 2 parts. You're like, this is the first part
Right.
of the 2-part final season.
Are they
That's
gonna?
how
Are they going to end when she passes away?
They start the season with the tunnel.
Oh.
Like, you don't see all of it. You just see this guy walking his dog.
Oh,
and then
Princess Diana.
He witnesses the tunnel crash. And it was like, whoa.
Right, so
they're
this is the
starting
final season. I wonder how far into the Queen's life they're actually going to go, because they could conclude it now.
Yeah.
Properly.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I had seen. I'm so like I fell off of that show, and maybe someday I'll go back to it. But I fell off of it a while back. But I had seen just today while I was looking up news articles for tonight that it was back, and I was like, oh, I got to ask Jesse about that.
Oh yeah.
You're already on it.
I'm ready.
It's interesting because The Crown and like the show you're talking about, I guess maybe also Glow, but the show you were just the documentary you're just like that. Those things appeal to me, but I don't care about British royalty, and I don't watch wrestling. But there's
Right,
something
yeah.
about like the behind the scenes of it is kind of fascinating. I guess it's the idea of, I don't know, man, like the inner workings of these organizations, or I guess of the royal family. At least in a dramatized form, is pretty entertaining. But
Yeah. It's almost like almost like seeing into a different world kind of thing. But this world exists within our world kind of thing.
right, that is like what it is. It's a different. It's like when I was on that kick and I was watching a bunch of Japanese period dramas, and not dramas, but shows and stuff, and I was
Sure.
like, it's just like this whole other like culture thing that is very literally foreign to me, but also fascinating because it's like so different. I guess it's like that.
Yeah. Like, people live like this. People are wrestlers.
People do that thing. Or that sumo show. Man,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know, yeah, people do this. And it's so weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
And I'm oddly invested in it now.
What was the? Do you recall the name of that wrestling documentary?
It's called Hustlers.
Okay, cool. On
Yeah,
brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well, Melanie and I also watched. A big thing that's been taking up our watch time has been we've been rewatching through the Venture Brothers series so that we could watch the Venture Brothers movie that came out a short time ago. We finally did. We finished it. It's a little sad actually because Venture Brothers has been going for 21 years, but only spawned 7 seasons out of that 21 years. There's a lot of like big gaps. And part of that is because it was so driven by the two show creators, Doc Hammer and Jackson Public, wrote all of the episodes, and like one of the two voiced most of the characters, and one of the two actually even like was involved with the animation and visual effects and stuff. So like they were very hands on. So that's part of why it took so long. But also like I don't know, Adult Swim weirdness. But
I think everybody. Sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I think everybody at Adult Swim was high, and they were just like, whatever, man.
Get it when you can.
Is Adult Swim still a thing even?
Nope.
Okay, so it's not even a thing.
It got absorbed, and then they closed it, and fired a lot of the people that worked there. So it's basically gone.
Yeah, I think it was Cartoon Network, still considered part of Cartoon Network when they did whatever they did with. So basically, it's like an imprint now. I mean, I guess technically it was an imprint of Cartoon
gonna say
Network,
it
but I
was
feel like
anyways, yeah.
Cartoon Network itself is also just kind of an imprint now. I think.
Oh yeah.
But interestingly, there was at least one full season of the show that Melanie and I had never watched. That just like.
Yeah.
So there was. Go ahead.
It was between. It was like it was between seasons we had, at least, because like I remember them being in New York. But then like the season before that I didn't see, and I was like, oh well, some things I didn't get before make a lot more sense now than they did the first time around.
Yeah, there was a season missing out of the middle of seasons we had seen, and didn't even realize it. But the series is so good. It's so interesting rewatching it, because like it started in like 2002 or something, and then the last 2 seasons or so, like there's enough of a gap that suddenly it's like 2018, and they're talking about mansplaining and stuff, and it's so weird to be like this essentially a 20-year show, a 20-year-old show, and suddenly they're talking about modern things, and I'm like, whoa, that's weird. It was very strange. But the movie, I liked the movie. To wrap it up, you can definitely tell they were originally, and I think greenlit and planned on a final season. And then Adult Swim walked that back, and it's like, we can't give you another season. How about a movie? And they're like, oh. And so you can kind of tell there's a lot of stuff like, we need to wrap up. Kind of, I guess, exposition and just kind of answers to some like outline questions that were just kind of like there. Just like, here's this. But I still thought it was pretty enjoyable. And it still moves pretty organically. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's just a bunch of stuff crammed in, but it just feels like there's like important information that's just kind of like dropped on you, and you're like, oh, okay. Probably not the way they wanted to reveal that, but they got it out there.
I think they used Old Ben a lot more than they probably were originally planning on.
Right. The exposition guy who's like, well, we want to reveal something to the past that there's no other characters around for still. So Old Ben, he knows what was happening back then. Yeah, anyway, it's good. Venture Brothers, man. I kind of feel like they will come back to it at some point. I feel like those guys can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Melanie or Jesse, anything else? I mean, all we've got this episode left is like news, so we can. If this goes long, it's fine. I mean, this segment.
Oh yeah, just audiobooks. You know, like I've been getting back into like not Lord of the Rings, Forgotten Realms books.
Okay.
So like I listened to a Harper book, and I didn't know anything about the Harpers really. So I listened to that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is all right. It's weird." And then they were like, "I don't like it. I'm going back to Drizzt."
When do you listen to audiobooks? When you're like, I don't know, what do you do? Do you grade papers or anything?
Well, I have a half an hour drive to and from my
okay.
building, so I get a good hour of audiobook listening.
Okay.
If I'm not feeling like my regular podcasts, so I get a decent amount of that. And then anytime I've got to do like household chores, I
Yeah.
pop
Okay.
in the earbuds. If I'm washing the dishes, I'm also listening to an epic battle.
Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking of when I was young, because I was smart when I was little. But anyway, I got to go hang out with my teacher, which is stupid. But I was like, yay! When I was little, and we went and would help her grade her stuff at her house, and she had tons of dolls, and it was creepy. But anyway, and it was weird. She was like, just sit there with like a pile and like one of those things that you stick your finger on to get it wet, and be like, and then had this little like slide thing you put over it
to flip the pages.
mark the wrong and right answers and stuff. But it still took a long time, and I'm like, that's the kind of thing you should have podcasts for.
Oh, for
you
sure,
know?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that's one of the kind of unforeseen for me downsides of like working from home and not going anywhere and working on podcasts is like if I'm home and I'm listening to audio, I'm usually editing it. So if I'm not editing it and I don't really go anywhere. So
sure, yeah.
like I just don't ever take the time to listen to a lot of podcasts or audiobooks or audio dramas anymore. And so, which is kind of a bummer. And I suppose I could, but like, I don't know, if I take downtime off like the computer or something, I'm going to watch TV. But I'm also like, if I'm focused on something, I'm not necessarily going to hear something playing in the background.
Sure.
Right.
So I also think I'm weird in that, like, if I'm watching TV, I'm watching TV. I'm not playing on my phone. I'm not playing a game. I'm not whatever. And I feel like that's not super common anymore for people.
No, really, it's not. People don't have that kind of attention.
And I guess that's probably why stuff like The Office and all that still continues to be so super popular, is because it's background watching, right? Like, you've seen it a million times. You can just put it on. But I like don't ever do that. If I'm going to put something on, even if it's just like I'll burn hours watching random YouTube crap, I'm going to be watching that.
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to be watching it, I don't want it on. I'm not going to do that.
Well,
Right.
but my problem is that I get too into everything that I do. So if I don't do two things at once, then I'll get very upset or like, like when somebody's drowning and I've got my head up and I'm like, because I am them. It's like how it works.
Oh, yeah.
And it's better not to get that invested in shows because they end, or characters do stupid things and then you hate them forever and you just can't watch anything anymore.
You know what that just made me think of is I've got a friend who is really into Big Finish audio, but he will not listen to them in his car because one time that like Big Finish is pretty good. They know their sounds, right? There's like a biplane coming down in the thing, freaked him out. Like he almost went off the road because the sound was too good in the Big Finish audio. So it's like, yeah, I won't listen to him into the car anymore.
That's funny. I can get that. When I used to, like, I had a driving job, and that's when I'd listen to a bunch of, like, audio drama and podcasts, like, all the time. There were some Big Finish where occasionally you'd be driving and there'd be, like, a big commotion in the story, and you're, like, looking for an accident happening around
Right,
you.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I get that. Yeah.
When I used to drive, I did not. Well, I mean, I had music, but I wouldn't let the children that I was driving listen to anything except on their headphones, because several times actually they would have stuff playing with like cop car noises in it, and I'm like looking around and I'm like, is somebody playing that? Shut that crap off, you know. I'm trying to drive here and you're distracting me and making me worried.
Right.
Yes, children, indeed. F the police, but please don't play that music with the sirens in it.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
You can listen to your early 90s gangster rap, but use headphones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to do it anyway, but I'm not, and I don't have time to police all that, you know, what they listen to. But,
Right. No,
you know, I can at least have them do it by themselves.
I was just trying to think of, like, what pops in my mind when I think of music that would have police sirens is, like, old school gangster rap, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes I think it might have been a game or something. Like, I don't know, do they have GTA on your phone?
You can do just about anything on a phone anymore.
Right. There were, like, mobile, not necessarily phone, but there were mobile GTA games, and probably lots of GTA-type clones on phones and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It was probably more likely that than an actual song, but whatever. You know. Still
I'm sorry. Nope. We also finished the current season of Harley Quinn. Speaking of, because I'm trying to blow through the Mac shows that I want to watch so I can get it out of there.
Yeah.
But they actually have a lot of good shows right now. So, Harley Quinn, man, I like that show. I hope it comes. I don't know if it's coming back again, but they definitely set it up like it could. It's so goofy, and it's also another case of like, man, there's a lot of basic humor in it, but also like, I don't know, it's fun. I like I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's pretty smart. It does some stuff that, like, when they do the reveal, I'm like, oh, that's, now that I think about it, yeah, that totally makes sense, but it just seemed like some stupid crap in the beginning, you know what I mean? But it ends up being a bigger, like the Superman thing, you know?
Right. It's, right. It's so weird to see them, like, yes, superheroes don't do that type. That story came from a Harley Quinn show, right? Like they wanted, right. I don't know a reference to Batman performing a certain act on Catwoman, right? And superheroes don't do that. But it's still mind blowing what they can get away with the properties, and then just seeing like, because you know, the comic book characters, we've seen a million different like what ifs and this and that, and alternate universes and rebooted timelines. But the versions of these characters you see in Harley Quinn are not versions you've ever seen done before, because they just like will do just some wacky stuff with them. And also they can just randomly kill off like a major character, a major member of, say, the Bat family, just randomly, oh, they're dead. And it's like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. So I don't know, that kind of heightens it in a way to where it's like, I can't remember what characters, but they killed off, I think the first season they killed off a bunch of major like tentpole villains and stuff. And at that point you're like, oh, they can just do whatever they want.
Right. I will give WB credit for that. Like they are not afraid of poking fun at things, you know, like they never have been. There've been like lots of fun episodes with the Animaniacs, just like totally running amok on the Warner Brothers lot, and then you know they'll throw jokes out about the Tim Burton Batmans or whatever,
right?
Like walk right into a casting thing where Tim Burton's there, and it's like that's kind of fun.
Yeah,
they're like not. Yeah, Harley Quinn has that same spirit. Like James Gunn as a director has showed up in there. Like, you know, hey Jasper, what's going on?
Hey-o.
Howdy.
But they're not as precious with their characters as like a Disney would be or something like that. Not much. We're just talking about adult-rated cartoons based on comic books. We're just living our perfect adult. We're just doing it.
This is what the show is now. Who is the stream even for?
Right, right. Anyway, I'll get off of that. But yeah, we finished the latest season of Harley Quinn. I enjoy it quite a bit. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, which is kind of a bummer. But I hope it's still getting the eyeballs because I'd be back for another season. Also, I really like. I don't know, man. I just really like a lot of their versions of characters. I didn't care for their version of Swamp Thing, but like Jim Gordon, they just made the most pathetic, kind of seedy Jim Gordon, and it's so weird because that's not Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon's never that, but he's so pathetic and like single dad, divorced dad, workaholic type, and just so like sad. He's such a like loser. It's so funny. Yeah. Nightwing has a great butt, and that's kind of his whole thing. And he's kind of a d-bag. I don't know. It's interesting.
I liked the what's his name, the younger one, the Robin. Though his whole thing is like, oh, you know, stuff's going down, bad things are gonna happen. He's like, I need to call my mom, mommy, you know, come get me.
Oh yeah, Damian Wayne is such a he's such a mama's boy, which is funny. Yeah, because it's not necessarily, most of the characters aren't necessarily where you would expect them to take it, and that kind of makes it fun. Bruce Wayne is, oh man, the season before this current one, they got into a lot of Bruce Wayne stuff, and I thought that was kind of great, because they play up the kind of fragile masculinity, but also like abandoned, you know, rich kid like mentality in him. It's pretty good.
It's great.
Yeah, and the characterization of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, they're really the main characters, is really pretty solid. Like, for as like kind of base level as some of the humor is, the character writing's really pretty good. Yeah. Once the characters are wacky, not what you'd expect, but like once they're established, the writers are really good about maintaining like, yeah, no, that's this character. That's probably what they would do.
Yeah. And Bane is great. Bane's the best.
Bane's the best character. He's so good. He's also sad and pathetic, but man, he's so good. He's like lovable.
Yeah.
He's the
lovable.
He's the splode guy. He wants to make things splode. Was there anything else, either of you guys? I can't think of anything else we've been watching. You want to throw in there? Okay. Well, real quick, let's jump over. I got some Doctor Who kind of news. First off, I just wanted to run through like when the specials are airing, because I hadn't myself. I'm sure everybody else is like, yeah, we know when, but I hadn't really looked into it. I'm just like, it's coming soon. November 25th is the next one. So next week we're not streaming because it's Thanksgiving here in the States. So by the time we do another Grawlix episode, the first of the 60th specials will have aired. So I'm guessing we'll be talking about that.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 2 or part 2 of the specials will air December 2nd. And then the third will be December 9th.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I overlooked your comment, Jasper. Jasper's been reading some Nightwing comics. Yeah, I think Jasper's big into Nightwing. You know, it's interesting because the personality they give Nightwing in the comics, I could see Nightwing fitting in well with, like, the characters of Harley Quinn. Because he's actually pretty laid back and, like, jovial and, like, kind of a jokester. He's not that at all in Harley Quinn. He's serious and not prissy, but kind of like
a dude bro.
A little bit, yeah. And he's just not. He's just very business. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit what I would expect Damian Wayne to be, but they went a different direction with Damian Wayne. And then tomorrow there's a Children in Need special. I don't know where that's not going to be airing over here anywhere, but there's going to be a Doctor Who thing in there because actually I think I don't remember. I was reading about it the other day. I think they're going to pull I don't know if they're pulling in older doctors or not. They're going to do some special thing. So, because they did that one years and years ago where it was what, 5?
Yeah, Time
5
Crash. That was
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
David Tennant always does pretty cool stuff for children in need. Like he did that one whole thing that probably spawned the Dr. Donna deal where Catherine Tate's character is in his class and he's the sub. Have you
Right,
seen that?
right.
Yeah, like those are funny.
So, okay, apparently, yeah, there's been like a 5-minute fully scored and FX'd clip or segment that'll be broadcast during the Children in Need special. And then related to Doctor Who, because we were talking about how initially it seemed like the Disney Plus deal is like, okay, cool, they're going to bring all the Doctor Who into one place to watch. I don't want to have to pay Disney again, but whatever. But that's not the case because the new stuff will be on Disney Plus. The modern Who, previous to the new stuff, will be on Max still. And then the classic stuff was on BBC iPlayer or something. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks. But if you don't have access to BBC iPlayer or whatever it is, wherever they put it, Tubi is they just got all the classic, like over 600 episodes of Doctor Who. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
So you can watch it for free. Tubi is good. I've been watching them more, especially when I want to find like an older movie or something,
Right.
because they don't have their commercials are so much better than like what's the other one? Pluto.
Yeah.
Pluto commercials are brutal. Tubi's pretty good. Let me pull up. I don't know why they're out of order here, but yeah, they have
in collections. That's nice.
They have them in collections, and then within those collections, they actually have like the seasons listed.
Oh.
Also, I noticed episode 1, 2, 3, like so they have. Wait, that's not right. Why do they have it listed that way? Oh, so their season and episode listing's not going to be correct. I was going to say they actually have an unearthly child, which is a thing that, like BBC won't have that anymore. I was wrong because it apparently starts with the Daleks. So whatever. Tubi got whatever the BBC is also has. It looks like.
And there was, I can't remember it now. I read it and I sent it, or shared it on the thing, but that,
Oh, they have some of the animated stuff here.
Oh, fun.
For the missing episodes. That's interesting. I'm sorry, Melanie. I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just surprised by
that's
that.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that one. I'd be interested in watching that one. The Abominable.
Tomb of the Cybermen's one of your favorites?
That's one of my favorites, yeah.
That one's good. Yeah, okay. I didn't realize they were also putting... Because, like, previously, the only way to watch the animated stuff was to buy their DVDs and stuff, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, that's cool that they put I hate the animation style on a lot of those, but it's cool they put... That's still better than, like, the recreations. Those are pretty rough.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway, I wanted to share that. I noticed that they just got added. So, pretty cool.
And I noticed there's a certain doctor that isn't on there that may be getting a return as well.
Oh man, you're right. There's been a lot of Doctor Who stories, and I'll look at them and be like, oh, I need to look into that later, and then forget. I hope, because that's something, man. Like, I feel like RTD is gonna really take the opportunity to capitalize on like that Disney money injection, and then also I'm sure Disney's like, give us a universe. Like we've ran our Marvel into the ground. Like give us some. So you're talking about Paul McGann possible spinoff series.
Yeah, I keep seeing stuff, and I don't know how true it is, but it needs to happen. I mean, like he's the only doctor that doesn't have a lot of screen time.
Right. No, it'd be great. Yeah, it'd be really good. Because He's a super interesting doctor, but most of him being a super interesting doctor is audio form only, really. Like
Right.
you've got the TV movie, and that's it. And his little cameo, which I think was even a web special technically, or whatever, in New Who.
And then when they brought him into, and it's fun because like the way they brought him into Jodie's doctor's regeneration was like everybody else is wearing these Time Lord robes, and he's just like, "What?" There's always one.
Yeah, I'd be much more interested in that than a unit spinoff, which I believe is still a thing that's probably happening. But I mean, I still want to check that out too. But
Ironically, he's saying Torchwood maybe, but not for a while. Like never say never, but like no.
right,
This
right.
is kind of his response to Torchwood right now.
That's not a complete like people need to forget about what's his name being canceled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I'm excited to get some more Doctor Who going.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, because I mentioned it at the beginning of the thing. Yeah. So the Writers Guild strike is over, and the actors. Well, that one actually I think ended a little bit ago. The actor strike is over now.
Right.
And I was trying to find more specifics on like what were because I don't think a lot of the specifics have necessarily been revealed about what they
Right.
finalized. If maybe they haven't finalized it yet, but man, it seems like they should have. But I know Green Actors Guild. Okay. AI. It's interesting. AI stuff on both ends for the writers and the actors were a sticking point.
Right.
This is beside the point. It's not really artificial intelligence. I like it's. I don't remember who, but somebody I've seen this mentioned a lot. It's basically like I feel like maybe the video stuff's a little bit different, but it's basically a super advanced autofill, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It pretty much is. I mean, I guess even with the visual stuff, it's just like, oh, okay, what would come next here, or what would be in this pixel? Like it's an autofill. But anyway, but the with the actors, a big sticking point was like, apparently the studios were pushing for in their like last offer, final offer, which was apparently not the case, was we get to take, 3D scans of you or whatever. Then we can use that either 3D characters or like AI, whatever. It's all going to be the same technology pretty much here soon anyway. But we can use your likeness
Indefinitely.
I think
Right.
indefinitely. But I think like if they're still alive, they'd have to pay them. But if they're dead, they don't have to pay anybody and they don't need permission. And everybody was like, what? No?
What is it, Thursday? Because you can get
Right.
yeah.
That's just crazy to me that they would try to whatever. That's just the thing. Like a company is only like they only have one. They don't care about human rights
anybody.
or morality. They only have one purpose, and that's to make money. But it's just insane that the people who drafted this crap would be like, yeah, let's try to swing that.
Yeah.
But I think they got it like you'd have to agree to be scanned, and they can only use it for that production. Maybe they'd have to get rights. Basically, like I would imagine it would be now, is they just have to get you'd have to agree to it, and there'd have to be. I think they locked in rates. Like they can't just like pay out dirt cheap. Like if they're using your likeness in a significant way in a project that you're not actually acting in, you still have to get paid as if you were acting in it. So
Right.
Good.
I
Even
would
that.
I would have
Yeah.
put something in about like it can only be used to supplement my actual acting, and if I'm not in the movie, then you couldn't use it. That's what I would imagine they would try to do.
Right.
I'd also read a bunch about, and there's a little bit of a difference between. It's interesting because, of course, the elites don't care about the little guys, and that extends to the actors themselves because it seemed like they had trouble getting things moving until the guild convinced the A-listers that this applies to you too. Right. And then things started moving. Like they had to I had seen a bunch of posts they were working to make it clear that this isn't just extras. This is everybody. And it's how kind of crappy is it of the A-listers?
Come on, Brad Pitt, come out of your $1 million cave.
Right.
Tell us if you see your shadow. Oh no, it's an AI shadow. It's you.
But it's also the idea of there's a big sticking point of you can't just take extras or big names and just use them as background extras. And
Yeah, that was just what I was thinking because they do that a lot. They make fake crowds, and I'm like, oh yeah, is that real people that they're using when they do that now? I had never considered that.
yeah, that was a big point for them. It's they're going to be doing that, and they probably will be doing that to a point, but they had to make sure there were protections around that specifically of that's probably a loophole. It's they could just put celebrities at the background, but well, they didn't act. They were just there. They're just extras.
Blur them out, yeah.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
suddenly a whole lot of Morgan Freeman in the crowd.
Right.
Morgan Freeman is Legion. It's just just a whole lot of them. That scene at the end of V for Vendetta, but everybody takes off a Guy Fawkes mask. It's just Morgan Freeman.
right. You'll be able to tell the one or two the handful of actors that just sold off all their rights. It's just wow,
Right.
that guy's literally in every movie that comes out.
It'll be Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds will be you just use my likeness everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Talk to the Deadpool guys; they have it. Copy. They'll send it over. That reminds me, not to digress, but we did watch the first episode of season 2 of Invincible. Have you?
I haven't cracked that. Yeah.
Yeah, season 2. I think there are only, as of last night, we're 2 episodes into it. But we watched the first episode, and yeah, it's good. It's good, but also a little depressing to get back into Invincible because that show, despite its bright appearance, is kind of dour at parts, and we're just after season 1, the Omni-Man thing. So Mark and his mom are in a real bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, a bunch of if you've seen it, you'll know why. But a legion of who'd you say?
Morgan Freeman.
A legion of Morgan Freemans is what popped that in my head because they did the little bit with the one guy who can pull other versions of him from other. He pooled other versions of him from other dimensions. So a legion.
As I say, they killed Replicate, didn't they?
Not yet. Did they?
Oh no, she's still around. Okay.
Right.
But they will.
It's just getting back into it, a reminder of what makes the comic so great. The TV show's being pretty accurate, but it's interesting because it's oh yeah, no, we're back. What is with Robert Kirkman? We're back in a Kirkman world, and you could tell.
Oh yeah.
And that's part of why Invincible is always interesting because it's it's fun, and it's legitimately fun, and it continues to be fun throughout the series. But at the same time,
anyone could die.
It's shotgun blasted full of like Walking Dead style tragedy. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's fun, but also horrific at any point. Yeah.
Really, Mark
Yeah.
is the only one who might be safe, and even he's going to get beat up a lot.
Oh, and he'll get like physically he might be safe, but emotionally he will get just trampled over and over again. It's not fun for any of them. I don't think. Okay, enough with the Screen Actor stuff. I had a couple articles set aside, but who cares? Oh, Coyote versus Acme. Have you heard anything about this?
No.
So this is apparently a live action hybrid movie that had been made, and it has starring John Cena, and it's a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner thing. But it's called Coyote versus Acme, and is a hybrid live action thing. I don't know what this even could be. Right?
It sounds like a court case.
Well, it was made and it was screened, so like completed.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers scrapped it for a tax write-off.
They were
Oh,
like, John
no.
Cena, you can't see me.
Right. So, people were, of course, filmmakers and stuff were like upset. This got announced. And I think it's interesting that this project of all things, like, there was a lot of backlash. I think people are just like, no, stop it, Warner Brothers, stop it.
Well, there's the whole Batgirl thing.
Yeah.
Or
They're like,
was it
stop
Batwoman?
making
I don't know,
movies
yeah.
and then scrapping them. And so apparently there had been a ton of kickback against this, and Warner Brothers kind of reversed their decision. They're not going to put it out, but they said you can shop it around to other distributors or whatever. So they're not going to just bury it.
Interesting, because that's a uniquely Warner Brothers property. Like, how do you shop that around? How do you shop around Roadrunner?
Well, I mean, at this point, DC, it's a Marvel Disney situation, right? Like all the DC stuff is Warner Brothers, but they're farming all that out now. They don't, not all of it, but they'll shop that out. Like you can get a bunch
Oh,
of that.
you're right. You're right, because Animaniacs is on Hulu. You're right.
Right. Hulu, by the way, is actually going to be totally bought out by Disney. Like they've been edging towards it for a long time, but it's confirmed that they're just going to buy it and then mesh it with Disney Plus, I guess.
Oh. Weird. How I Met Your Mother and Toy Story.
Right. So yeah, there was some kickback, and they're going to be able to shop it around to other distributors. Interestingly, so anybody listening, you probably know, but they do this because like it's like the Batgirl movie, and I think there was a fully like produced animated Scooby-Doo movie that was done that they scrapped, and people are like, "What?"
Scrappy Doo.
Right. It's a tax write-off. They get to do that and claim a loss and whatever. And so hold on here. Where was it?
Such big franchise write-offs, though, man. Like, it's not like, we just had this thing, that nobody knows about or cares about. It's like Batgirl and Scooby-Doo and the Looney Tunes. Like, that's what you're gonna write off?
Right.
Yeah, it's parts of their largest properties. Those are like parts of those are IPs.
It's like we made a
belonging to
Captain
their
America movie, but nah, you don't get to see it.
right.
Well, but it's probably.
I mean, they did that once back in the like 90s or 80s, but sorry, go ahead.
It's probably that even if they're going to scrap something, they know they're not going to get permission to even begin to make it unless it's one of the big properties that they think will get that money. You know what I mean?
Right. But it's like, even if it's a turd, you put out that thing and it's going to make money. Like Scooby-Doo, it's going to make money. It might not make as much money as you think it is, but it'll make some money.
Right.
It'd probably make a lot because kids stuff always makes a lot, and then that's got the parents all up on it too.
Yeah.
Of pretty much every age, because it was been around for so long.
Right.
It's so interesting that they would scrap a Scooby-Doo movie, which, yeah, traditional. It's a kids movie, so you got that appeal. And then there is like a weird older audience for Scooby-Doo. I mean, it's not weird, but
Yeah, it is. We're weird.
you're all a little weird. But there is an older audience for that because it's Scooby-Doo. They grew up with that, right?
Yeah. Had Don Knotts on the Scooby-Doo show.
It's so weird that they would scrap that, but then go forward with that Velma show, which apparently everyone hated. So
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that might have even gotten greenlit for a second season. But that's everyone hating it. It's kind of their fault because there were so many people that then watched it to hate watch it or to talk
Yeah.
about it. So it's the whole thing of like, no bad press, whatever.
Right. Controversy creates cash.
So kind of an interesting thing. I don't know that anything will come of it because these companies just keep merging and stuff. It doesn't matter. But a Democratic representative from Texas, is it Walk-in? Castro? Whatever. A Democratic representative from Texas. He urged the Justice Department and the Federal Trade Commission, I'm getting this from LA Times, by the way, to investigate Warner Brothers Discovery, which, I mean, there's a thing they've been investigating anyway, since they merged and whatever, because it's yet another mega conglomerate, whatever. But specifically, this representative is urging them to investigate Warner Brothers Discovery for shelving completed films in favor of tax write-offs. And the congressman said that it's predatory and anti-competitive. And somebody likened it to burning down a building for the insurance money. And it kind of makes sense. That analogy totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
John Cena could be doing other projects, like
Right.
he could be
Yeah.
filming the next season of Pacemaker. Come on, let's do that.
Yeah.
Well, and I know these people they get paid for the work they did unless they had a deal about like getting paid on the back end, which is something that often happens, and I'm sure they get kind of boned. But also like unless it bombs, you can't necessarily quantify this, but for the filmmakers and writers and people in it, like that's also hurting their their brand, their public image, the fame factor that plays into being in movies that come out and do well and being visible. Like being in a bunch of movies that get scrapped, I feel like probably doesn't really help your career that much.
Right.
Well, and like you were saying with the actors, I'm sure the same applies to other people too, where they would get like a percentage, and if it doesn't get released, then they get nothing. Or I mean, maybe they have a little bit of a base pay, but yeah, more that they would have gotten, they don't get. So yeah,
I think a lot of times directors will get kind of like deals like that. It's I mean that's a big reason why ScarJo sued Disney because
right.
they dumped her movie on straight to streaming, and like she was supposed to get a bunch on the back end from box office. That's a little bit more complicated because of like the state of theaters at that point, but
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's all crap.
So that movie at least will probably come out. I don't know. It'll probably end up on Amazon or something. Amazon seems like they're like, yeah, we'll buy up whatever you guys are selling off because you don't have money and we're Amazon and we own everything. Mm-hmm. And Disney, I don't know. I would say the same about Disney, but Disney's also kind of like, we're just gonna scrap stuff too. Willow, what's that? Huh? 6 months? 6 months? Nope, that's fine. Get it out of here. Yeah, weird. The streaming bubble burst, that's for sure. We haven't finished the latest season, but Shadow and Bone over on Netflix has been canceled. And that's definitely the kind of show where I'm sure it does not wrap up this season. So Netflix, man, you can't rely on them for ongoing series. I've actively like, there's been a couple shows that have started over there. I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to get invested.
I'm so glad that they're gonna just wrap up Cobra Kai because then Netflix can't cancel them.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Aren't those
man.
kids like
you
20
can't-
now?
That too, yeah. Yeah, they don't look like kids anymore. That's for sure.
Okay. Let's see. That was related to the strikes. What was this? That. Oh, I don't have a lot about this, but Pedro Pascal is in the talks to play Reed Richards in Fantastic Four.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That I was like, that's weird casting, but it also kind of works.
You know, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
He's not. I would not have like, if somebody was like Reed Richards, who, and I would not have been like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, yeah.
But first off, he's good. He's great in everything he does. But sometimes he's got the little salt and pepper side on the sides. Like I was like, and he can do fatherly. He can do smart and suave if that's how they go with Reed Richards. Like he can do it.
You know what I would like to see? A movie with him and I want to say Gruffalo, but that's not right. The guy that played Hulk.
Mark
Mark Ruffalo.
Ruffalo. Yeah.
Yes, I would like to see a movie
Gruffalo,
with
that
the
was
two
cool.
of them together, just being weird. Because
That's interesting. You don't even like Mark Ruffalo, but you know what?
I don't.
think you're right.
Yeah.
They have a
would be good.
similar like. They could have a similar demeanor.
Yeah, I think it'd be good.
Pascal's
Reboot.
super.
Reboot Dumb and Dumber with those two.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
Wow.
okay, maybe
No,
not. Maybe not. Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm behind that. That's not a bad idea because there's no way it would be the same kind of humor. Like it just
it'd be
wouldn't.
different, yeah.
It wouldn't be like them just like super stupid and obnoxious. If anything, it'd be them super stupid and awkward and neurotic.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
An awkward, neurotic, Dumb and Dumber couple pair. Yeah. That's interesting. Is there? I'm just thinking about because Pedro Pascal and Mark Ruffalo, I could see them vibing at the same kind of like the same tone, the kind of
Yeah.
like doing. Pascal, I could see picking up the Mark Ruffalo thing. But I can't see Mark Ruffalo picking up the Pascal vibe when Pascal's like Last of Us intense. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like Pascal has maybe we just don't see it with Ruffalo. I mean, he's a good actor, but he doesn't have the same kind of range, and that's part of why
did,
Pedro's so great.
I need to watch it, but I think it's on Max. This much I know is true. Like that I read. That's probably the longest book I've ever read, and they adapted it. And I haven't watched it, but that's pretty deep stuff. And so I wonder what kind of gravitas he can bring to that role. And then it's like, okay, well maybe that's his, his
Right.
intense.
And they're both hairy too.
That too.
Yeah, yeah.
The hair pair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see. They need to be in a. They need to be in a thing now.
Internet, make it happen.
Maybe they have been. Who knows?
right. 6 Degrees of Kevin. They're in something with Kevin Bacon.
right.
I was gonna say 6 Degrees is Kevin Bacon. Nah, they're already in a movie with Kevin Bacon.
Well, here, take a look at this, guys.
What's it say?
Wait, they're pals? Look at these pals.
I mean,
Can't. My computer's not strong enough.
oh, what? You can't
wait,
see
there we
the
go.
video?
Now it just popped up. Okay.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so they have hung out.
Okay. Wow. See? So now they just need to make a movie together.
Wait, who's that? That's not him. Oh, what year? Weird. It's weird seeing different actors and actresses hanging out together. That.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird.
Huh.
Wow. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, now we're just reacting at photos on the internet. Who is it stream for? It's for us.
You know, this
Don't
is
you
the,
ever forget it.
I say, like, when we do these episodes, or when we did news especially a lot, I did like entertainment news, but then I'd like look up entertainment news and it'd be like crap celebrity gossip and stuff. I'm like, no, that's not what we're doing. Maybe that's what we should be doing.
Here we are.
Maybe this is how we break out of our weird live stream slump. We'll get a new audience.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It would be amazing. Man, I wish there was something else amazing that I
What
could
else
think
could
about.
be as amazing as that?
Education is pretty amazing, but unfortunately, the average composite score on the ACT test for 2023 has fallen to 19.5 out of 36, which is the lowest it's been for 30 years. The average
That's the
scores
average.
the average score of 3 of the 4 subjects that they test for, so reading, math, and science, were below the college readiness benchmark. The average scores were. But keep in mind also though that the benchmark is or indicates like a 50% chance of being able to get B grades or 75% chance of being able to get C grades in college. So I mean, it's not necessarily that you couldn't go to college. It's just that, you know, you wouldn't score very high. And Janet Godwin, who is the CEO of ACT, she says, the problems are systemic and require sustained action and support at the policy level. It is not up to the teachers and the principals. It is a shared national imperative. And I agree.
So trying to like preemptively like direct the blame appropriately where it should go. It's
Yes.
it's not. This is not necessarily. Yeah, it's not the teacher's fault. This is a systemic problem.
Right.
This is America problem.
Right.
It used to be like that mattered so much that you would do, pre-ACTs, the PACTs, and then you would like take classes on how to pass the ACT, and it's like that's not how we're teaching anymore. Those tests are not how we're teaching. That's not how people learn.
Right.
It's
That
not
makes sense.
It's not a genuine assessment really anymore. So it's weird that it's still the benchmark for, applying to college.
I scored I took my ACTs when I was 12, and I scored like 17 something. And if they're only scoring like 19 something, that's not as good as a 12-year-old did. Come on.
I'm no brainiac, but I know I got higher than 20, and it's not like I didn't study for it or anything.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's pushback on, I don't know, education's in a weird spot because in some ways, especially when it comes to college, like the college system itself is very predatory, and it's not necessarily set up for you to really succeed later in life. It's it's like a sales funnel in a way. But then on the other hand, you've got the I guess more conspiratorial or sometimes conservative outlook of like education bad, science bad. Like you've got that kind of side, and it's kind of a double whammy on the education system.
Yeah.
And then you've also got like a government who just don't want to fund it. Like,
Right.
and there's these weird pushes. I don't know, whatever. It's too tied into a financial system, but I guess that's
It is.
capitalism.
It is, and it's ridiculous because I I hear about, well, their test scores aren't very good, so they're not going to get funding. But to me, that should be the opposite. The schools that have the worst scores should get the most funding. And what you get to help these children shouldn't be dependent on, what you achieve. That doesn't matter. The point is to try and help the children, not to gain something for yourself. I don't know.
Right.
What?
The future is what you get. Dang it.
Listen,
You get what you give. That
Yeah.
song from the 90s.
Yeah.
You get what you give.
wait, where'd it go? Listen, here's the only thing that matters.
Them in a cowboy movie.
Yeah, like
There.
it'd be so like the obvious fish out of water, or you could even do like what's the opposite of a straight man? And I'm not talking about the obvious thing. I mean, in a comedy duo, there's the
No, not me.
The comedic relief, I guess.
Yeah,
The opposite of
yeah.
Straight man, yeah.
So I definitely, if they wanted to go that way, it's either two awkward neurotic cowpokes who don't full circle. I knew we were going to talk about westerns.
Yeah.
Who don't belong in the Old West, or Pedro Pascal's the straight man, and Ruffalo's the New York City slicker, awkward cowpoke. Maybe that's too obvious, but
He's Hulk in Ragnarok, the best Thor movie ever.
yeah,
He's that character.
yeah. I mean, he.
Or
He's that character most of the
maybe we don't remake Dumb and Dumber. Maybe we remake City Slickers.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's do it. Make it happen, Hollywood. We're
Pedro
giving you
Pascal
gold.
is going to be Billy Crystal. Only his way. He'll do it his way. Yeah.
We're giving you gold, Hollywood. Make it so.
Yeah.
You don't need AI. You just need unpaid podcasters to throw ideas at you.
That's right. That's right. Then you can run that through AI, and then it's going to be gold, or something that looks almost like gold,
Yeah.
Hey,
but with way too many fingers.
speaking of gold and unpaid, StreamYard. You like how we're doing
StreamYard.
this?
Yeah.
You like how we're
Yeah.
doing this? This looks nice. Our presentation, me being able to switch over to that tab, pull up a lovely picture of Pedro Pascal and Mark Ruffalo on a whim.
Yeah.
StreamYard. That's how we've been doing it. And there should be a link in the description of this video. That's our referral link. And if you click that, you could get $10 in credit to use on StreamYard, which we've been using for years. So you should definitely check that out.
You should. And I mean, you can get it limited for free, but if you do decide to purchase it, then you can stream to like every platform, basically. Even TikTok, but you have to already have the.
No,
the
I
1,000
can't
yeah.
promise TikTok. I don't know. I haven't researched that. I
I
can't
did.
promise that you can stream.
If you are allowed to live stream on TikTok, then StreamYard can stream there. Yes, but you have to get to the 10,000 or the 1,000, whatever it is, limit first, and then you can.
We have such
Okay.
sites to show you.
Well, you can, like they do, of course, like you can easily hook up to Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and all that, LinkedIn. But they do also have the like RTMP connection, which is like basically so you can stream to anywhere else that doesn't have a direct link set up. So yeah,
Oh, cool.
that's probably how the TikTok thing would work. I don't know.
Yeah.
Point is, it's easy. You can record it. I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be on a Moose's Monster Mash. We used StreamYard to record that episode. We did a local recording, or we just set it up as a recording, and it recorded my audio and his audio separately at a local level, so it's not all cloud funked up. Sounds good. You like my technical jargon? I do
Cloud
this for a living.
funk. Yeah.
It's all cloud funked up.
We have such clouds to show you.
Clouds bro clouds.
Clouds, bro, clouds.
Sounds like a
Anyway.
good time to me.
Yeah.
It is a good time for all. All right. Speaking of, we're getting out of here. The weekend's almost here. I mean, Thursday, it could get bent, but
It can.
it's almost Friday. Yeah, it can. But there's only a couple hours left of Thursday, so. All right. Jesse, anything you want to mention before we bounce out?
Nope. Nope. I mean, Humble Bundle's always there. It's always there. It loves you.
Right.
Check it out.
It does.
I got what, the Bandai one? I got that one. So I got all the Pac-Man games. There's some Tekken. I don't know if it's still live, but it was a good one. And there's always some kind of D&D like thing going on. Like they've been doing like Roll20 stuff. They've been doing like random table books that you can get for like if you're a D&D game master or whatever. Yeah, just check it out. They've always got comics, they've always got books, they've always got software. You're gonna find stuff you want. I think it's like NaNoWriMo or whatever. You know, like it's that I'm gonna write a novel month. So there's probably a bundle for that too.
Ooh, they have a Doctor Who book bundle going on right now.
See?
And interesting. It looks like there's a bunch of stuff. They've got comic books mixed in there. They've got
Some Big Finish, I'm sure.
They've got some Big Finish mixed in there. Source book? What is that? Is that like a
Oh,
for
for
the tabletop game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's quite a bundle. They've got a little bit of everything in there and maybe some fiction books. Yeah, I don't know. They got a bunch of stuff in there. I just seen that just now. Hey, Grawlixpodcast.com/humble. That'll redirect you through our affiliate link. Yeah.
So glad you stuck around for this part of the show. Just mosey on down to Internet Saloon, you buckaroo.
That's the most effective way to do ads, right? Just wait till the end of the show after you're pretty much like
Yeah,
wrapping up and then like, oh yeah, by the way.
Your most loyal listeners that have just stuck through the whole thing with you, and you just shill to them. That's
We've kind of always done that though.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, because anytime we had like a thing we were doing or whatever, or like, hey, I got a new album coming out, or you had like you're at a convention or something, that's definitely more Grawlix-y anyway. But we'd usually save that till the end of the show.
Yeah.
But all right, everybody. Well, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks because Thanksgiving.
Mosey on out there, partner.
Cowpoke.
The old cowpoke.
I want to see them in a. I want to see that.
Buckaroo.
I want to see that movie, that Western with Mark Ruffalo and Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
We just need to keep saying it, put it into the ether. It'll happen.
Yeah.
We just need to manifest it.
That's right.